One of my viewers, Jennifer, sent me an article from the New Yorker to respond to. It's called "Are Your Morals Too Good to Be True?" The subtitle is "Scientists Have Shattered Our Self-Image as Principled Beings, Motivated by Moral Truths. So some wonder whether our ideals can survive the blow to our vanity." I wanted to just share my cursory thoughts, so don't freak out for lack of depth. I'll explore in more detail in future videos. First, you'll notice that most of the discussion deals with the implications and consequences of atheism or naturalism, the worldview that we're evolved apes with no created essence, living in a meaningless universe. Of course, if you're committed to such a worldview, morality must just be a useful fiction or social construct. Some atheist philosophers try to ground morality in an objective framework, in social contract theory, in universal reason, in human flourishing, etc. I used to study these arguments in depth, and I think they all have key flaws. But then there are also difficulties and arguments in grounding morality in God's commands. But I want to explain that these arguments are largely unhelpful and unresolvable. The proof is in which lived morality leads to what outcome. The philosopher in me used to worry a lot about these things, but I don't anymore. And how I outgrew these concerns was just to observe which behaviors and habits lead to states of internal bliss and coherence, and which lead to anxiety or disassociation, incoherence, etc. This is the common sense view of ethics that you find in Aristotle and the medieval religious thinkers, which I find most correct. If you isolate and dissect every moral action and motivation under a logical microscope, you can come out with very weird and very depressing conclusions. You could put what I just said under a logical microscope and quarrel with it. You could say, for example, oh, you felt anxiety or bliss not because that was an authentic response, but because you were socially conditioned or raised to feel good or bad about doing X. Of course, that could be true in some instances, but when you zoom out and look at my collective behavior over a decade, and if you look at the collective behavior of human beings across cultures and civilizations, the pattern gives you a clear answer. Virtue produces internal bliss and vice produces anxiety. More importantly, sustained virtue increases happiness and bliss, while sustained vice produces disharmony and inner discord. I haven't talked about the role of society or culture yet, but these of course play a massive part in shaping our motivations and moral lives. People are easily corruptible and influenceable. If we see injustice rewarded and kindness punished, it's easy for people's natural moral compass to be warped. It could be something very small, a girl breaking up with a guy because he's too nice, or something big like noticing widespread hypocrisy in one's religious community. I talk a lot in my videos about what hustle culture does to our psychology and how it makes us more egoistic and vain, which leads to a cascade of devastating social, psychological, and interpersonal problems. Our job is to nurture the good in ourselves and in those around us, and to avoid the bad in us and avoid bad people and places, to put it very simply. I also haven't talked about our nature and its tendency towards hedonism and egoism. I don't believe that humans are more bad than good, but we may be more selfish than selfless. I won't deny that. My focus and argument is that we can so order ourselves, our culture, and our society, hopefully, so that the potential for saintliness is fostered more than the potential for greed and egoism. If you study history, you'll find whole towns and communities, villages, even cities valorizing goodness and virtue to a great extent. Individuals and societies can become holy through sustained effort and influence, but we've lost that vision or goal for ourselves today.